Welcome to this week's live affirmation breakdown. For those that don't know me, my name is Jalette Williams. I am a therapist and faith coach and founder of the Live Verse, whose goal is to help imperfect Christians like you and me keep our relationship with God simple, healthy, and authentic so that you don't have to feel like you're going through life alone. So the affirmation that we are going to be breaking down this week is, I will not allow a moment of discouragement cause me to settle. I am destined for more. And so to really understand the power and what this affirmation means, we need to know the definition behind what discouragement means. And so there are 4 questions that we're going to be going over today, and I'll try not to get into teacher mode because y'all know me, I love to break things down, but I do want to keep this casual. Also don't want to keep y'all here for an hour. And so what is discouragement? And to understand the definition for discouragement, we need to know that discouragement comes in 2 different forms. So discouragement comes in a verb and it comes in a noun. And so the verb form of discouragement is to discourage, or discourage with the D at the end. And so that means to lose courage, to give away, versus discouragement as a noun. That's a state of being. It's almost like discouragement has become your identity. And so when we go from discouraged to discouragement, it then becomes a breeding ground for settling. It becomes a space where we say, all right, like this event happened or this situation happened and I got discouraged, but then I'm stuck in this place of discouragement, and so maybe that goal isn't going to work out for me anymore. Maybe I should switch up what it is that I want, and maybe I should lower my standards a little bit. I'm sure as I say that, you could probably think of some things of where that happened to you, where something happened and your enthusiasm went right out the window, and now you're like, this was looking pretty fun at the beginning, but now it's getting kind of hard. Let me know in the chat if you can relate to that. And so as we continue along, the number one place the fruits of discouragement show up in is in our thought life, right? And so there are thoughts that happen in our mind when we begin to get discouraged. And if you have any discouraging thoughts that you are used to hearing, let me know in the chat, because I'm sure you are not alone. But thoughts like, maybe I'm not good enough. I'm not sure that can happen for me. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. This doesn't look like it's gonna work out. I thought all my ducks were in a row, but it's starting to look like that I'm not prepared. So the first question that I want to ask about discouragement is, what is the point or purpose of discouragement? And it's important to know that discouragement on its own is not inherently bad. Like, discouragement is it's not a negative thing. It can become one, but it doesn't start off that way. And there's this quote by Miles Davis that I think really encompasses what I mean. So this quote says, "It's not the note you play that's the wrong note. It's the note you play afterwards that makes it right or wrong." And it's the same with discouragement. We can't control the situations that happen. We can't control when discouragement decides to pop its head into our lives or in our feelings, but we can control what happens after that determines the impact of discouragement. And so that's important, because we don't want to let discouragement come in and take over. We need to fight back, right? And that's where this affirmation comes into play. Discouragement, or let me take a step back. How do we fight back, right? So we know that discouragement comes in, and that's a pivotal moment when discouragement comes in, and we have the choice to say, all right, how is this gonna play out? So in order to fight back, we need to remember 2 things. The first is, discouragement is not who you are. The Bible says in Psalms 35 that mourning may last for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Discouragement may last for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Peace comes in the morning. Hope comes in the morning. Being able to remember that I will not let a moment of discouragement cause me to settle. I am destined for more. So it may be here for a night, but more is coming for me in the morning. So that first purpose, to answer that question of discouragement, is to remember who we are. The second purpose of discouragement is to wrestle for the promises that we seek. Discouragement lies in the tension of what it is that we hope for and what it is that we used to have or currently have. Discouragement lies right smack dab in the middle of that tension. And I know what it's like to sit in discouragement. I'm sure we all can recall what it's like to sit in discouragement of, I can kind of see what it is that I want in the future, and I know I don't want what I had back there, but this is a very icky place to sit in, right? And so it's that tension of like, this is very uncomfortable, and so you have a choice to make. Am I going to settle, or am I going to continue to wrestle and fight for the things that I want to come in the future? So before discouragement becomes a state of being, so before just discouraged becomes discouragement, it's a battle. A battle to say, I will not settle here. Discouragement, you will not stay here. I will get the promises God has promised me. In Psalms 27:13, it says, I would have despaired had I not believed that I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. If discouragement primarily shows up in our minds, like in our thoughts, then we need to use our words to fight back. That's why I'm doing these affirmation breakdowns, right? Like to be able to understand why affirmations are powerful and how affirmations work is important to getting our faith strong, to getting all the blessings that God has promised us. And so the Bible says the power of life and death is in our tongue, not our words. And God wrote that for a reason, because our minds, he knows our thoughts be wild and sometimes, and we can speak back. That's how we fight. Being able to say, I will see the goodness of the Lord in my life while on earth, right? Not when I get to heaven, not when I pass away, while on earth. Even being able to say, I will see this blessing come to pass in this season, right? Being able to hold on to the promises and wrestle with, you know what? Discouragement, or I may have been discouraged, but I will not settle here. This is not my homeland. This is not what God has promised me. And so a good example of this is for anyone that has played sports. And I'm probably a good example of what it's like to let discouragement win, because when it comes to sports, I'm a quitter. I'm going to be honest. I quit left and right, and I should be more ashamed of it than I am, but here we are. So when you play sports, the best games or the best battles when it comes to sports are not the ones where it was an easy win, where you just it was a blowout, right? The best games are the ones that challenged you, the ones that you had to fight for that victory. In the same way, the best blessings are the ones that you had to fight for, not the ones that, were handed, that came so easily to you, not the ones that, was like a walk in a park. And the reason being, it sounds counterintuitive, but the reason being is because wrestling and battling builds our character. If God gave us all blessings in life just on a silver platter, the moment that discouragement comes, because regardless of whether you're fighting for something or not, discouragement will always come. And so the moment discouragement comes, or it looks like you're about to lose that blessing you were so easily handed, you would throw in the towel right away. You would be like, you know what? This doesn't seem worth it. This looks kind of dangerous. This is kind of scary than what I thought it was going to be. I didn't even have to work for this blessing, so you can go ahead and take it, right? We don't hold on to it in the ways in which we need to, because the character wasn't built. It was just given to us, right? And so the best blessings are the ones that we battle for, and discouragement teaches us how to battle for those blessings. So the next question we need to ask ourselves is, what is the next step after discouragement? So remember, discourage is a verb and discouragement is a noun. So because I was discouraged, I stepped into discouragement. And now you need to step out of it. So if you find yourself in a space where you've been discouraged or you're getting discouraged, I'm letting you know now, step out of it. All right, you had your moment to acknowledge it, you had your moment to process it, but we're not going to settle here, right? So I will not allow a moment of discouragement cause me to settle. I'm destined for more. You're destined for more. And so there are two keys to dealing with discouragement: trust and remind. So if the first step was a leap of faith and now discouragement has settled in, the next step is not to stop, it's to keep going. And so you're either for your next step going to take a step of regret, or you're going to take a step of reminder. And so what does that mean, right? And so being able to look back and say, all right, I've been here before. This is not the first time that discouragement has come around the bend, right? And so I can look back on previous blessings and say, yep, this is how God has showed up before. Or yep, this is how I dealt with discouragement before and it worked, or it didn't work, right? So maybe I need to make some tweaks. And one thing about regret, let me go back for a bit there, is regret also is something that's not inherently bad, right? It's what happens with regret that makes it bad. And so don't get me wrong, regret feels worse than discouragement. And it is what comes after unmanaged discouragement. But it gives us this opportunity to face the things that we lost, right? It gives us this opportunity to see the ghost of what could have been in order, hear me out here, in order to encourage us or motivate us for the next thing. So being able to say to ourselves, you know what? I'm not going to settle here. I'm not going to allow this moment of discouragement to say to me, this is all you're going to get. You might as well lower your goals, or this is all that's possible for you. Look what's going on. To be able to say back to it, this is the promise God has made to me, and I'm going to speak back to you because this is how I fight my battles, right? So do not allow a moment of discouragement to cause you to settle. You are destined for more. You need to take that next step. So I do want to do a quick activity where I want you to think about that last blessing that you had to fight for. That last blessing where it was a battle. And just think about it. And then when you think about it, think of one word that symbolizes that blessing. And I want you to drop it into the chat. And it could be any word. It doesn't have to be a word that makes sense to anyone but you. It could be a word like bananas. But as long as you know what it means, that's all that matters. And as you drop into the chat, I also want you to write it down, maybe on a piece of paper or on your phone. Because I want you to hold on to that word. That is your reminder. That is your North Star when discouragement comes around again. And so when you're in a situation where discouragement is there, you can look at that word and be reminded of how far you've come. So as you do that, I want to talk about another verse in John 16 that says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you have trouble, as in discouragement, stress, battles, right? But take heart, I have overcome the world. You know, I will not allow a moment of discouragement cause me to settle. I am destined for more. I will take that next step. All right, so I do want to do, as I was like processing and thinking through this affirmation, and for those that are new to the weekly affirmations that I do, or even just the affirmations that I do, these are affirmations that are near and dear to me. They're affirmations that I actually use in my own life. That's how I end up sharing them with you. And so as I was processing this affirmation, sometimes I write my own poetry, or sometimes I write my own blessings. I came up with a blessing that I would like to share with you before I let you all go. And so it's a blessing for when you're feeling discouraged. And it says, when discouragement comes and our confidence is shaken, may we learn to take heart in its place. When it feels like the world has turned against us and situations look grim, may we choose to wrestle within ourselves and stand our ground on the promise that awaits us. For even here, in the midst of discouragement, we can still boldly declare that I am destined for more and I will take that next step. And so that is my hope, and that is my prayer and encouragement for those that are watching. Even here, in the midst of discouragement, you can still boldly declare you are destined for more and you can take that next step. I know I said I was going to let you go, but I want to do one more exercise. And this is the exercise that I want to be doing at the end of each of our weekly affirmation lives. where we just repeat the affirmation out loud, because like I said, there's power in the tongue. And so how it's going to work is I will say the affirmation first, and then we will say it together in trust, because I'm not really sure if, I can't really see you is what I meant to say. So I'm going to trust that you're saying it out loud. So the affirmation is, I will not allow a moment of discouragement cause me to settle. I am destined for more. I will take that next step. So we're just going to take a deep breath, and then we're going to say it together. I will not allow a moment of discouragement cause me to settle. I am destined for more. I will take that next step. I love being able to connect with you all on a more personal level. I hope you see this affirmation differently now and can begin to apply it to your life in powerful ways. If you enjoyed today's episode as much as I did, spread the love by leaving a review over on Apple Podcasts or by liking this video and subscribing to the Liveverse channel here on YouTube. To catch the next live, make sure you follow me on Instagram at It's Delight so you can receive some encouragement in real time. It's a space where you can come every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time and let go of whatever the week has brought you and pick up some hope and encouragement instead. We'll break down another affirmation and share some encouragement that'll help us to refuel to finish the rest of the week out strong. I would love to see you there. Looking for more content while you wait for the next live event? Check out this video right here to help you keep encouraged until next time. As always, you are loved, TLV fam, and I hope to see you again soon.